At some stage, you're going to notice your toddler starts doing things which aren't generally considered socially acceptable, like exploring their private parts. And your initial instinct might be to address it immediately, perhaps even with a firm stop. But a quick reprimand isn't the best way to address this behavior. And that's because responding abruptly could unintentionally create feelings of shame or guilt over a genuinely innocent act. Remember those days when your child was just an infant, and they were completely enchanted by their tiny hands? They would stare at them, bring them to their mouth, and endlessly fiddle with their fingers. These were their first steps into understanding themselves and the world around them. Now, as they venture into toddlerhood, this natural curiosity extends to exploring various parts of their bodies. I mentioned that reprimanding them when you see these behaviors isn't necessarily the best approach. So here's another way to approach it. The key is to handle the situation gently, guiding them towards other engaging experiences, without causing any fear of shame. Instead of reprimanding, try redirecting your toddler's attention or distracting them. Read them a book, give them a toy to play with, or suggest a new game or activity. These subtle distractions can seamlessly shift their concentration, maintaining a comfortable and non-judgmental environment, in saying that it's also vital to strike a balance when you're dealing with your toddler's curiosity about their own body. Remember that it's entirely normal for your toddler to want to understand more about their body. But like any other learning process, it's vital for you to guide and teach them about boundaries. Think of it this way: just as you taught your toddler that they have to wear shoes outdoors, regardless of whether they think it's necessary or not. Similarly, you have to teach them about the appropriate moments and places for self-exploration. So instead of stopping them outright from their self-exploration, which could lead them to feel ashamed or confused, simply set boundaries for them to follow in a gentle and straightforward manner. Explain that there are places like their bedroom where it's okay to be curious about their body. In contrast, public places like parks, malls, or the living room are not suitable. It's all about setting the right boundaries, while allowing them the freedom to explore and understand themselves. And when you are setting boundaries with your toddler, it's essential to speak to them in terms that they can easily understand. Your toddler is still developing their language skills, and complex sentences or big words can confuse them. And as parents, we often slip into using adult language without even realizing it. We might think that we're being clear. But to our little ones, it's like listening to a foreign language, and that's why it's so important to adapt our communication style to suit their understanding. To help you with this, I've created a communication milestone chart. This is a free resource that breaks down what language skills you can expect from your child, from 12 months of age, all the way up to 4 years of age. It will serve as a guide to help you tailor your words and explanations in a way that your child can easily grasp. To get your free copy, just click the link in the description below this video. In addition to pitching these boundaries at a level they understand, you are going to notice that teaching these boundaries might take a bit of patience and repetition. This is because toddlers are still absorbing so much about the world, and sometimes they need lots of reminders. So it's essential to be patient with them, gently remind them as many times as needed, and over time, with your consistent guidance, they will learn and remember this new rule. Although it is typical for toddlers to be curious about their bodies, I do want to quickly highlight when it can become a concern. And that is if you notice that this particular behavior begins to dominate your toddler's interest, pushing aside activities like playing with toys or socializing with friends. If you notice this, it might be a good idea to check in with a pediatrician or a child therapist for guidance. Another hurdle you'll likely encounter during these toddler years is managing tantrums and emotional meltdowns, and to quickly put an end to these outbursts. Many of us resort to yelling or taking away something our children like, such as treats, screen time, or even canceling a fun activity. We believe that these actions will teach our toddlers to behave better next time. But here's the thing: research shows that this approach doesn't really help our children learn how to behave. In fact, it could even make things worse in this video. You'll learn about what punishment actually teaches your little one. And more importantly, a more effective way to manage your toddler's tantrums and meltdowns.